We're back here, day 2, Messukeskus, Pasila, Helsinki, Slush, day 2. I'm here with Weibull.
Hello.
As yesterday. Hello. Well, Jonathan was here yesterday in my place.
Yes.
Did a great job. But I'm back here. I'm gonna be back here for the whole day today, I think.
Yeah.
That's the idea.
Exciting.
Very exciting.
Welcome back.
This guy told me to not go after partying yesterday. I took your word. I
Don't drink a drop of alcohol.
This was not rehearsed, which makes it even more juicy. I didn't really even feel like going out yesterday.
We've got an exciting lineup today, and what is the main theme of the this morning session?
Morning session? I think the session of the morning, the theme of the morning session would be incubators.
Yeah.
Business incubators.
Yeah.
That's what we were talking about. Yeah, that's what we were arranging.
We're kind of exploring the strange world, the strange land of something that are called variously incubators, accelerators.
What is an incubator?
What is an incubator? I mean, we happen to be fairly ignorant people in this strange land.
Usually as an interviewer, you have to pretend or give out this false aura of being the layman, being the ignorant layperson. I don't even have to pretend.
In the spirit of Hunter S. Thompson and as Gonzo journalist, we'll just have to kind of break the fourth wall, third wall, fourth wall
is the wall that you break with the audience.
Yeah,
yes,
this is the internal kind of knowledge wall.
But I mean, I don't have any previous. All I know about incubators really that there are such things. Companies are there. Companies exist in incubators.
So this is
they have foosball tables, beanbag chairs. That's all I know about incubators. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. We're trying to get hold of this kind of this alien territory.
Yeah.
It kind of looks a bit alien, to be honest.
Yeah.
So we're starting off with exploring that, and the guests this morning are from various forms of incubators, which hopefully will shed some light on this.
Yes, and not only from Finland, we also have incubators from Sweden. I think two from Sweden. So we're going to get an international perspective. If the Finland-Sweden, axis can be called international. I mean, that's the thing when people say, "I'm so international. I went to Prague as an exchange student." Oh, really? You're international? How many people from Angola do you know? Like, that's not really international in itself.
I don't know about you, but I'm bored of my own voice now. Shall we try to get some other voices?
I'm never bored of my own voice.
Okay, let's pretend.
We should definitely take.
So our first guest is perhaps a familiar face to some of our more dedicated followers.
Yes. Oh, yes.
And he is the director of the Hanken Business Lab, and his name is Markus Wartiovaara.
Yeah.
And he'll be a permanent guest for the first 2 or 3 guests of the other guests that are joining us later.
By the way, I'm kidding. I'm very, very bored of my own voice, but we have to do this, right? It's fun.
Can we have Markus join us? Welcome back, Markus.
I love to be back. You guys are doing a fantastic job here.
So we've just set the scene here. We're talking about this strange land of accelerators and incubators.
Yeah.
And to be honest, Isak and we've kind of laid it bare now that we don't really know what it's all about.
Yeah.
So
we know that such things exist. It's a place where people go to, young people go to, startups go to, they mingle, you have colorful walls, you have foosball chairs, you have foosball tables, beanbag chairs. It's just but we have really no idea what happens in incubators, really.
I think a sign of intelligence, not to pretend that you know actually everything. So I think there's a mishmash of incubators and accelerators trying to figure out what they want to do, and then they do a little bit different paths. And maybe broad terms. So incubators, what they are doing, they're providing space and they're providing resources on a long-term basis for companies. Whereas accelerators, you take in a company, you work very quickly with them, for instance, the following 8 weeks, to train with your business plans and business model canvases and stuff like that, and try to build up a team.
Right. So there's a very, very clear distinction between an incubator and an accelerator.
No, this is a distinction, but it's not very clear always, because sometimes you help each other. So, for instance, at Hanken Business Lab, we're primarily an incubator, and this is our core. We want to be with the companies on a long-term basis, so we help them to grow. They become part of our community, so we work with them for 1 year, and then they continue as part of the overall community for as long as they want. But we don't do specifically accelerating, but we still help Right. So there isn't really a clear distinction. So
it's basically like a hostel for startups. So you got startups coming in, you can pay a small fee, maybe, not even, sometimes they're free. Yeah. Come in, you get a space for your startup, you get to pursue your enterprise, whatever it is, and then even in some cases you might get resources, money, I guess, or such like.
I think that's a really good I'll say comparison. Maybe it's a sort of hostel for startups, but at the same time it's good to understand that there are different types of hostels,
right,
and there's different types of incubators.
Did you say hostel?
Hostel, yeah.
And so you have university incubators, like we are at Hanken.
Yeah.
Then you have incubators like Maria 01, I get that one right, which are at the core, there's City of Helsinki in the background. Yeah. So university incubator, what drives us? In the end, we want to be a contributing member of overall universities. For us, it's really important to be part of helping the new students, helping old students, and helping with the learning, and maybe in some cases also with the research. So our reason of being is that we want to help the university go forward. Whereas a real estate incubator, they're then looking at, can we provide interesting spaces that actually we maybe can make some money out of? We have a big facilities, we slice it down into small pieces, and then we rent these small pieces out to up-and-coming companies. And they serve from a city perspective, both for getting revenue out of the real estate, and then helping the overall economic activity of the city, like Maria 0.1.
Okay. Are there other forms as well? Even more?
Yeah.
I mean, accelerators, incubators, are there other terms within this kind of space? So basically sort of helping companies form, startups form.
Yeah.
Are there other kind of main terms that we've missed?
Of course, these are the two big terms, and then inside of these two terms, you have university incubators, you have sort of more of city incubators or real estate incubators, but then you can have sort of family offices that are creating their own incubators. So they can be more privately owned with a private agenda in the background and building up companies. Maybe in some cases you want to have interesting people around you, so you're not only investing in stuff with your dad and yourself, but you suck in interesting new people, and you have a more enjoyable existence in your daily life. So different kinds of incubators, then accelerators, maybe certain other types of forms on top of that. Could be that there are concepts being evolved with having different kinds of retreats, like founders retreats. You pull out the founding team and think about, in the next 2 days, how are we going to get a new direction for our operations? So these are up-and-coming concepts. But
what are some, strengths of incubators as opposed to, say, accelerators? This fast-paced, sort of accelerated resource giving and support versus this sort of hosting of the actual company long-term.
I don't think these are antagonistic, so they are complementing each other. Right. So for instance, when we have interesting ideas for companies coming up to Hanken Business Lab, and they may be still at the idea phase. So what do? We basically suggest we sit down with them, we help and discuss their ideas. Sometimes we recommend go and take, for instance, a course. Like at Hanken we have this launching a new venture 1 and launching a new venture 2. So there's 2 courses that actually help you develop your idea, and then you have judges that are evaluating your things, and you have mentors coming in. So you can do this inside of a course. Or then you can go to Startup Sauna, for instance, go to a startup accelerator program at Aalto. So our approach is that we want to be an open incubator. We recommend use different accelerators. But once you have a business and you're up and running, then you're welcome to become a formal member of Hanken Business Lab. So basically what at the lab we do is that we focus on primarily helping companies that are already founded and up and running, going to help them forward on a long-term basis with them. And I think that's been a really good clue for us, because in this way we've avoided quite a lot of the hassle. So really first-time hassle, do I have an idea, is this idea really valid, do I have a right team in place? So we have right teams in place when they come to us.
That's very interesting. And I think it's worth noting that these are metaphors, like accelerator and incubator are metaphors for something. So accelerator is obvious, and incubator, I think it's maybe taken from the medical world. Or
right, incubating a sort of hatching an egg or of some sort. I guess.
Yes, that you incubate something that isn't born yet, or that is prematurely born, that you have to take extra care to nurture and care for it. I think that also translates into the other terms, like in Swedish you have couveuse, and which is the French term as well, couveuse, and it's something that you describe if you're born in the 7th month or something like that. You're living in a small bubble with a respiration with more oxygen and it's tempered and so on. And I think that there is a Finnish term for this as well, but I don't know it.
Yeah, so yrityshautomo.
Yes. What does this mean literally?
It's the same thing, I guess. We're talking about hautomo. If something hautuu, it is. I have no idea what the English word is for hautomo. It's not incubate, I don't think. Or is it? It's more a question for Google Translate than us, I think.
Okay. We ask Google as a friend. But you're right, the different terms a little bit give different perspective to the phenomena. And I think it's important to note that it's not only premature babies that we're taking care of. We are also very interesting babies that are already up and running. And
not that premature babies are interesting.
Now the metaphor is becoming slightly sick.
Right.
But I think that you wanted to say was that we do startups, which people now are quite aware of what they are, but also something that you call scale-ups as part of your incubator, Hanken Business Lab.
Yeah, that's what we do as well. So, we are, as a Hanken Business Lab, we are an incubator with a little bit unique twist. So we help both for-profit companies as non-profits. So we have as members associations, because we believe both are doing a good job of building this society in a good way. But on top of that, of having a sort of a working space for these types of activities, we are also a meeting place for more established companies. So we suck in different kinds of so-called scale-ups, a little bit, some call it grown-ups, to look at companies. I don't know if it's appropriate for us. We're playing with these terms again.
Does a double meaning,
Yeah, but we're taking in companies. For instance, companies that want to grow in Sweden, which is a natural hub to come at Hanken and Hanken seller to bounce forward into the Swedish market. So we help some of these companies come together and get some peer support, as well as then pulling in experts to work on the Swedish adventure.
Am I right in diagnosing this sort of...
Speaking of scale, maybe we should bring in our second guest.
We can absolutely do that. I have this question, but we can absolutely ask it.
Why don't we ask it as part of our next guest?
Speaking of Maria 01.
Speaking of Maria 01, which is an old hospital called...
I think my mom used to work at that hospital.
Maria Hospital, right?
I think so.
And it is...
That'd be weird if it wasn't.
It has been converted into... I mean, it is vast. It is massive into an incubator, right? And the director of Maria 01 is with us here, and his name is Voitto Kangas. And if we can get Voitto Kangas.
Victory Claw.
Voitto Kangas, welcome to Hanken Business Lab.
Hello, sirs.
Podcast.
Welcome, sir.
Hey,
Welcome.
We've been kind of trying to figure out, because Isak and I, we're very ignorant people, so we don't know what accelerators and incubators are. But Markus has now helped us a little bit.
Yeah.
You are the director of Maria 01.
Yeah.
And I had a student this summer when I took some of my students over there to show it around, and I said, "What are your first impressions?" And this is a guy from Texas. From Texas A&M.
And everything is big in Texas.
Where everything is vast. And you know what term he used? He said, "My first impressions are that this is vast." And it is enormous. How big is it?
So we're now 10,000 square meters, like space-wise, but the space doesn't...
10,000.
10,000 square meters. It really doesn't matter, because we just pack people, so what we look at is sort of the amount of people we have working daily, and that's 700 people right now.
Right.
Out of which half do code, so we really like the nerd. We call it the hospital of nerds.
Hospital of nerds.
Yeah.
That's about the population density of Finland. That's a pretty nice parallel there.
Yeah, we have some teams with team members of 12, and they're using one room where the whole team sits. So everybody has like this one corner where they are. Yeah.
But this
How many square meters are?
10,000.
10,000 square meters.
Yeah, we're expanding to 20,000 now.
It's vast.
It is
It's
quite
vast.
big. It is quite big. So we're expanding to 20,000 now. So we'll double the space in roughly 3 years. Yeah, that's quite tricky, but then it's quite large. And we just now at Slush, the city of Helsinki published that if somebody wants to do the rest of the campus, so 40 to 60,000 square meters of new space, which would then be also smaller companies or and let's say scale-up companies, so 20 plus employees, they could do it now. They could start doing it already. So we're on the lookout for property investors and people who will come.
Great. Soon, actually, then you're challenging Station F in center of Paris that are currently boasting that they are the world's largest incubator.
Yeah, they got it first. Like, but yeah.
How big are they?
I think there are roughly 1,000 people or companies and 33,000 square meters, but they're expanding as well. But you don't, like, the largest I've seen was in Chengdu, 80,000 square meters, 6 buildings.
80.
They talk about development zones.
Where is this?
Chengdu,
China.
it's like a middle of China. Beijing, they have Z Park, which is 4,000 square kilometers. So it's marketing for most of us.
It's like a country.
It's a country, yeah.
Basically like a
Yeah.
country.
Can I ask another stupid question? Why on earth do we, I mean, is this the first time in history that we need such spaces for entrepreneurship to flourish? I mean, what's going on? Is this precedented in history somehow? Have you seen, why now? Why does capitalism need enormous kind of caretaking in terms of buildings and kind of programs and so on? Why is that happening now? Do you have a sense of it?
I don't know if this is completely like amateur guessing, but I mean, one of the economic phenomena that has happened with urbanization is the creative spillover, intellectual spillover, and I think am I right in diagnosing that this is sort of a compressed version of the intellectual spillover that you get from cities, just people living in cities? Because half of the point of incubators is not the organized programs at Jam, but the people meeting each other, running to each other on the hallways.
Yeah. So I call this the sort of trend of hubs. So most likely we're not going to be working in sort of these silos. Like I have my company and it's this place and it's this industry and we have this main office here. But people are going to be formed inside tribes. So you're going to be attached to many places.
Okay.
So what you see WeWork doing is you get access to, tens, hundreds of locations globally, and you're a WeWorker. Like that is like one trend. We will build these sort of star systems of spaces, and you already have these players globally going on. For us, kind of, everybody who's doing space now, because space is a commodity, mostly like there's just a lot of empty space in the market for office and etc. What we're doing now is just building moats. So we want to be the place with moats around our space.
Okay,
so capturing the people inside. Making sure that the sort of tribe is very collective and compact, and hoping it will attract more good people inside that.
Okay. You use other terms such as other strange terms like entrepreneurial ecosystems, and I said this to a friend of mine, and he said, "Well, that's a mouthful, isn't it?" Enormous kind of claim, but there is a truth to it at somewhere.
You have a 20,000 square meter area; it's almost an ecosystem.
It is an ecosystem. I mean, all sorts of germs will flourish there.
Right.
Yeah. Like so, we subscribe as for entrepreneurial ecosystem the idea that every successful company will spin off to 3 successful companies to 3 successful. So it's like a mushroom.
I see.
So like what we see now, example in Mario happening with the sort of 100 companies we have. Already people are leaving and starting companies inside Maria. So they're like going stealth mode, leaving their early stage startups and employee, starting a company. So it starts building from the inside out.
I see.
Because you have this sort of density of people who have entrepreneurial blood or are working at a growth company.
To your original question, why are these happening now? I started my internet stuff in '97 and there were first internet tech, and now 20 years later we're seeing huge upsurge of these incubators. We didn't have incubators at that time. And in one sense, I would say that this is part of making capitalism more fun, but it's also more competitive, because there's really a sort of an energy component to this. You're working together closer with other companies, you learn from each other. It's a more efficient way of organizing to have these clusters and clustering effects, like the incubators are doing. You know, you guys are huge in Finland, but on international scale, we're always going to be a smaller country. I think where we could put our bar is maybe not the hugest on the global stage, but we for sure can be the coolest place to do stuff. And here I'm not talking about the temperature what we have here in Helsinki, but also maybe that as well. So, but there's interesting ways we can lead the pack and do collaboration and ecosystems like with Maria. We're happy to help and feed into you companies as they mature in Hanken and grow out of the Hanken co-working spaces that we have.
Yeah, like in the end, especially looking at Nordics now, capital is no problem. Like if you have a pulse and you can walk on 2 weeks and do code, like you can start a company. And for the technical side, like everything is available from the start. So having an internet, I know companies in Finland who've been around 3 years, raised 1 million. They never took an office anywhere. Like they don't need it.
Right.
They're just hanging about. And then when you start building a team, maybe then they would get a space or join an ecosystem. But for starting a company now, like you literally need just good brains.
Is there a visible increase in the spirit of sort of collaboration between early stage startups, or people just companies in incubators because they live in the same space, or does it create a sort of you talked about increased competition within the incubators? How does it affect the feel of
I would say overall competition globally, and I wouldn't say the competition inside of the incubator. They're actually more of a co-opetition. You're helping each other out in the incubator. That's I think the core of the incubator, that you give out, does somebody know a coder? I have a brilliant coder, and what about you? Do you know somebody can create a nice logo for us? So they're exchanging resources with each other. So I see this a place not for competition but for cooperation, helping out on the journey.
I think that this is a very good question of competition and collaboration. Kind of
are they opposed to each other?
That's the kind of method. The neologism is to say what did you call it?
Co-opetition, where I would say most of the cooperation happens inside of the incubator, and the competition is out there in a fierce way. And,
you said
maybe we can help.
It's like a portmanteau of cooperation and competition. Okay,
yes.
I see.
We'd like to say thank you to Voitto Kangas for joining us.
Cheers. Thanks for having me.
We have so many more questions, but perhaps we'll have to organize this next year again.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Hey, have a fun Slush.
Have fun Slush. Thank you so much.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
And we have our next guest is she's a very charismatic Finnish lady. Her name is Henna Keränen, and she is Finnish, but she works in Stockholm, and she works for the Stockholm Incubator Sting, which is a long-running, very famous incubator in the Nordics.
Yes. She must have a heart of gold.
She has a heart of gold, and here
Sting.
she is, Henna Keränen.
If you get that reference,
Hi.
I applaud you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you too. Hi, thank you.
Hey. So we've kicked off this morning on the theme of accelerators and incubators, and Isak, as everyone knows, don't know anything about why we're here in the first place. But now we know a little bit more, and we started off fleshing out what are the different, what did these things mean, and Voitto has told us a little bit about Maria 01, which is an impressive space. It's going to be 20,000 square meters next year.
Oh, okay, cool.
And but it's nothing compared to an incubator in China.
Chengdu.
Yeah.
And how big is that?
80,000
Oh
square
my
meters.
god.
And then there was, you talked about some that was like 400 square kilometers or something like that's.
I couldn't even imagine that.
Yeah, it's beyond thinking.
Yeah, I
beyond
think
the
so.
point of incubators, like you're not going to run into anyone living there for a month. You're going to be like, where is everyone?
It's beyond think company.
Yeah, it is kind of like beyond thinking about that you work in this like space, like this cellar space that you like work in your garage or somewhere.
How big are Sting's offices?
We don't have our own office,
Oh,
but we
I
are
see.
working in different co-working spaces. So in those spaces where our companies are working. So we are located in different kind of co-working spaces in Stockholm. So of course inside of them we have a small office, and then we have a small office for our companies as well. But we hope, that's why we want to work in other co-working spaces, because we want to like get the chance for them like to meet other people and get the influence also that what is happening and what is going on and so on.
Right, this is very interesting because we established a concept of an incubator, talked about this space, sort of a hostel. We use the metaphor of a hostel for startups.
Yeah.
But you're lacking this space right now. So what is the focus of Sting right now? What are you doing for Swedish companies?
We are of course, our main focus is our companies. We want to create companies that are successful, like Sweden's next unicorns is our like focus, of course, and that we are like focusing very hard. We trying to find new solutions. How can we help them more? Of course, all the time investors are crucial, so we of course like here as well trying to find out new investors and the relationship, and of course main partners. If you think corporate, for example, they can be an early stage customer for many startups. And of course, like give them the examples. Obviously, they have done something right because they are so big, right? So that is something that we also want to like provide them the possibility. Yeah.
Awesome. So can you say a little bit more about? You said that you don't have your own. You're in many different locations.
Yeah.
So whereas, for example, Hanken Business Lab has a very distinct space in the basement at Hanken, the cellar.
Almost defined by its space.
It's
But
defined
it's
by
open
its
for the
space.
students.
And it's open for students.
Yeah.
And Maria 01 has taken over a hospital and they're expanding very fast. And but so how does this work? So yours is a different type of incubator. Is it an incubator? What's the term you would use to describe Sting?
I would say that we are an incubator and accelerator. So we have two programs.
Okay, you're both, yes.
But beside them, I can say that we are a community or an ecosystem because we are providing.
A community-orientated ecosystem.
Yeah, that is a correct. That is actually a pretty
How about
good
that for a
one.
mouthful?
we said that entrepreneurial ecosystem is a mouthful.
Yeah.
And now you've just added to the complexity, so that's going to be two mouthfuls.
But I think that is. It's like special because we have of course the programs that we provide, and in the programs we provide different kind of workshops, coaching, marketing support, and so on. But we have also like recruitment service.
Yeah.
We are helping them to find the right talents to create a team. We have our own investment network. So inside of Sting, we have gathered business angels and VCs. All the investors of the Sting community, it calls Propel Capital.
What's it called?
Propel Capital.
Propel.
Yes.
Propel.
Like propel, precis.
Accelerate,
Exactly.
propel, incubate.
Yeah.
Ecosystem.
Community, and they are financing our accelerator programs. And we also create like different kind of events, matchmaking events, where our investment network and the companies that have Sting alumni companies or the current Sting companies get to meet each other and probably like find the perfect match.
Yes.
So that is how we do, and we are looking like carefully, or we have looked carefully. Sting has established 15 years ago. And the role model for us has been the Y Combinator in Silicon Valley. It works in a pretty similar way.
The Y Combinator.
Y Combinator, like...
Okay, we should probably know this, but we don't.
You should go visit Y Combinator to Silicon Valley. I think there's some sun.
But can you sell us why first?
Are you saying I need sun? I do. I think I do.
Probably you need.
Yes.
I think we all need it.
I like honesty, and I do know that myself. I look myself in the mirror
we
every
are
morning.
Finns.
So is there another reason aside from getting him tanned up?
Yeah, I would say there's plenty of reasons, but in Y Combinator it has been chosen to world's best incubator many times.
Wow.
Yeah, really good.
So that's a good role model.
And it's in San Francisco?
In San Francisco, in the Bay Area, and inside of it, it's like the same thing that we have in Sting. So they have like this network of investors who are funding the Y Combinator companies, and they are like created this whole community about the Y Combinator alumni, the Y Combinator current companies. They are like huge.
Are there some companies that we might know that have come out of Y? I forgot the
That's
name.
a tricky question.
It is? Okay. I'm not going to put you on the spot if that's a question, but okay.
Yeah, but I'm not sure actually. I should look up at the companies that have been, but it's like thousands of companies that we have worked with.
Okay.
We had worked with 200 a little bit over.
Cool. We've talked a little bit about cooperation and collaboration in contrast to competition, and that kind of this whole world is very kind of fussy and vague about which one it belongs to. What's your take?
Who owns the world?
No.
What are your
The
questions?
relationship between cooperation and competition, are they diametrically opposed? Can they work in sort of a symbiosis?
Well, I believe to cooperation. I think everybody needs each other. I think it's always. I think it's a both side way that everybody. If you have like what kind of cooperation, I think it should. The right cooperation is something that it gives to the both sides. It should be like interactive, of course.
This was a leading question because I wanted to then ask you. So you're a Finnish lady from Vaasa, and you visited Hanken for the first time.
Yeah.
First time ever. Okay.
First time ever. I'm so happy. I have so many like friends in there and so on. Now I know.
And
what
you
is
went
Hanken.
straight to the basement, Hanken Business.
Exactly.
To the bottom.
To the bottom.
Yes, yes,
Because from
exactly.
there the only way is up.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But you've come from Stockholm and you work at Sting and you're here at Slush. In the spirit of cooperation, what are you looking to? What sort of networks are you hoping to build here? As, for example, maybe with us, Hanken Business Lab.
Well, of course, contacts. Important contacts all the time.
We're getting this on camera.
So exactly. Now I promise something that you remind me every
There
this
is
is
a
a
tape on
contract.
it.
Yeah, exactly. So well, of course, contract. The investors, as I mentioned before, are very crucial for us. Best practices, what works. It's always interesting to hear other communities how they are like handling things. Of course, I think like Nordic countries are pretty similar. We have same kind of societies. We are all very strong when it comes to technology and innovation and so on.
Yes.
We want to create the mobility, so welcome everyone to Stockholm. There's pretty good accelerator and incubator in there. So of course, if there's a Finnish, whatever, like people who are clever and good and want to experience, let's say, the world, that we are open, and we hope that it's like.
What do you think?
So it's not for us.
How
but
could
if
you
someone-
how could you collaborate with
I
Sting?
think a great question. And you know, when we had here prior Voitto Kangas here, we've been feeding possibilities for companies to go to Maria, 01, and I see this as a very natural thing going forward. So once our companies at the Hanken Business Lab grows and have internationalization plans, which is the most logical place for Hanken students to go and test markets is currently Stockholm.
Exactly,
And,
I think it's
so a very natural one is to, if we have dialogues open, to help our students to find good places to start off their ventures in Stockholm as well as in Helsinki.
Yeah, I think it's very like good because that you mentioned, because it's something that it's always important for startups that they have like international contacts and global contacts, because that is they want to scale up.
They want to scale up, and on that path it's good to collaborate between the different incubators. But could I make your worldview still a little bit more complex with competition, co-opetition? I'll introduce two other terms here.
We'll brace ourselves.
Embrace, and this is for-profits and non-profits, which is rather important part of this thing as well.
Yeah.
So there's quite a lot of players that are sort of non-profits. They want to create possibilities for others to build up businesses through that. Like Hanken Business Lab, we're not here to make money of our companies. We're to help them forward and grow and prosper.
Yeah,
and you have also in the background something of a foundation or something?
Yeah, background of Sting, who like started Sting, was a foundation, and now we are a non-profit company, so we are like we don't like
Electrum.
Electrum, exactly. And it's like 15 years ago it created Sting.
So you're that old, so you must be one of the oldest actually.
I would say so, probably, because the main reason was to create the startup ecosystem or the startup culture in Sweden, and that's how we came up. I haven't been there 15 years, so I don't know the old history, but
we can figure that out.
Yeah,
great. You know, in that sense, Hanken Business Lab is sort of new kid on the block, and we have players like you guys been 15 years.
But that's important.
Hanken Business Lab, the new kid on the block.
I think it's super fresh to see the new kids on the block as well.
By Stockholm, you have a long tradition there, like our partner school Handels. The Handels Business Lab has been since the 2000s, so they've been a long period as well there, and we're establishing different links to work together with them as well as yourself. And we have Norrsken there as well as a really impressive incubator at Birger Jarlsgatan in Stockholm.
It's very cool office.
What's that called?
Norrsken.
Norrsken. Yes. Henna, thank you so much for joining us today. Thanks for educating us.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Huge pleasure.
And come back, please.
I'll come.
Come and visit us again at Hanken.
Absolutely.
That was a contract.
Yeah, exactly. That was a contract. I'll come back.
Okay.
See you around.
Now we would like to speak to someone who is tremendously experienced in in collaboration between the two countries of Finland and Sweden.
Yes.
His name is
Brilliant man we met today.
His name is Christian Weckman, and Christian Weckman is the country manager for Business Sweden, which used to be called the Swedish Export Council, Svenska Exportrådet. And they're hugely talented, very good analytically when it comes to providing companies who come from abroad, who come from Sweden and who wants to establish themselves abroad, and I think vice versa as well. Very welcome to her. I'm very pleased to have you here.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you for having me here.
Great. This morning we've talked a little bit about accelerators and incubators because Isak and I, well, we know all about those things, and we've been educated now somewhat. And you, through the Business Sweden, have a kind of a slightly different angle on this, a broader perspective on collaboration and facilitation. Can you tell us a little bit about Business Sweden generally?
Yeah, absolutely. So the short story of what we do is that we help Swedish companies grow internationally to increase their international revenue.
Yeah.
So we are present in over 50 countries with about 400 people abroad, another 100 in Sweden in various support functions and so on, and working directly with Swedish companies from all sizes and all industries to help them with entering new markets or evaluating new markets and deciding how best to establish via either an acquisition on a market or building it step by step through recruitment or partnerships. And in addition, that involves that we have to have a lot of know-how about each market, how it works, how it functions, the actors available on that, so that we can provide the roadmap for them. And also not to forget all the already established Swedish companies, the subsidiaries, the branch offices, how they can continue their development.
You had yesterday a very illustrious guest list, including Prince Daniel from Sweden, who is interested in entrepreneurship. We were very jealous. This Business Sweden, or the Swedish Export Council, am I right in assuming that many other countries are quite jealous of Sweden having this kind of very well-oiled machinery?
Well, I would hope so. It would be a sign that we are doing our job right, and that is in fact one of the stated targets of our management, to be a world-class organization in doing this type of work in a very changing environment. Because going back to when the current organization was first established in the mid-70s, the landscape in industry was a lot different. It was a lot more focused on exporting physical goods, for example, and services. But today, in an environment where for example, application can be uploaded to an app store and available worldwide, where is the role for this type of support? And where we have, for example,
very good question that you put yourself.
And where we, for example, have found a role for not just for us, but also our partners in Sweden, HankInvest, Tillväxtverket, and so on, is that we can help Swedish companies, Swedish startups, by lowering the threshold for this, because not all markets are the same. Not all markets can be uploaded in the same way. Not all companies are software producers, and we can help with access to investors from early stage to later stages. We can help with promoting events such as Slush and the presence here and the connections you can establish here and the partnerships by doing a concentrated effort. I think for those who have...
And it should be said that you have done that emblematically well.
Exceptionally
well. I mean,
Thank you.
You have a very nice stand, not so far away from where we're standing now, and it's appropriately sized. I think some have gone for a much bigger stand than others. I mean, we were very impressed.
He has a secret. He's a former Hanken student.
He's a former Hanken
So
student.
Hanken alumni.
Well, what's going on here? I mean, our listeners are going to think that we are only talking to each other, which is sort of true.
Yes.
No, we had pretty much other stuff here. Voitto and other stuff.
But I think
we still love Hanken.
But I still think for those students who are listening to this, it's important to also see that what the life outside after Hanken is. You're still going to know the same people that you know while you're studying, and you're going to know even more people. And there is a joke I know that some people from Hanken use when they're graduating, that I don't know anything, but I know everyone. and even though you can joke about that, there's still some truth to it and some value to it as well.
We have kind of touched on this theme a number of times, that there is something exceptional about the Hanken alumni, and that truly is so when it comes to kind of a sustained relationship in a true community established in one location, and that being often Helsinki. Do you draw on that network yourself through your work here?
I think it's something which is quite natural in our work. Apart from myself, we have several others who are Hanken alumni working for Business Sweden. And I think that our personal networks definitely come into play, because we are still a relatively small team. We're only 6 people at the Helsinki office. We work with every business area that Sweden is good in. Everything from industry, retail, food, healthcare, mining, whatever you can name. And we also work with quite a lot of assignments during the year, and also certain events such as Slush, which means that we are going to jump into the deep end of the pool several times, and we need to relatively quickly and using a certain methodology learn about sectors and industries and things behind the scenes that we don't necessarily have an insight in from the beginning. And that's where the networking comes into play. That's where knowing the right people and the organizations comes into play, because we in ourselves are a toolbox for Swedish companies looking for a successful establishment or growth. But we also need other tools in that toolbox to be successful.
Maybe just on that, never underestimate the power of a HankInvest. You know, you have a complex situation, you put in your staff into those and making sure of the new business opportunities between Finland and Sweden. You know, we have, as a Finnish Swede, we sometimes underestimate the capabilities that we have. You know, one part of the brain talks Swedish, the other one Finnish, then 3-4 other languages on top. And you had a very nice quote, was it from Percy Barnaby once, about hiring people. What was it about?
So Percy Barnaby, the former long-term CEO of ABB, the big Swedish company, he said that Finnish Swedes are the best people to hire because they can handle cultural complexity better than any other group of people in the Nordics, which is because they live in a bilingual culture, but also kind of bicultural culture in a sense.
Like part of the cultural identity itself is cultural complexity, in a sort of way. But a question about this: you're a 6-person team. Utilize your network that you have close by, but how do you maintain this wide range of expertise that companies actually come to you for assistance? It must be really hard. How do you do it?
It is, and I think the focus there is not. We are trying to enable also our employees to have their specific interests. So if somebody wants to work with healthcare, wants to work with industry or food or retail, they have that opportunity. They can learn about those areas. They can become more experts in those areas. But the important thing for us is methodology. It's like it shouldn't matter what topic it is. It shouldn't matter what key questions it is. You need to know how do you answer that? How do you move forward? And that's a way of working rather than what you know already. And then with experience you get better at both the way of working and also what you know from before, and you can use information that you have gotten in certain projects and cross-reference that with other projects. So you start to see trends and things that are common within these.
To your credit, Christian, I'd like to say that your reputation precedes you, because I've heard that, well, in your case, it's not about what you know, but who you know. I think it's true what you say, that it's who you know, but it's also what you know, and in your case that's true. Because Business Sweden is known for being exceptionally good analytically, providing very professional, competent reports that are also, what's the term, actionable or something like that. So we're honored to have you here. And actually, one thing that we talked about earlier was cooperation versus competition, and the suggestion that we're in a time now that kind of promotes increasingly a kind of a collaborative spirit. And in that spirit, I'd like to ask you something that I asked also one of the other two guests. How can how can collaboration between two different entities, such as an incubator like Markus Hanken Business Lab and an agency such as yours, work together? I mean, are there ways to work together? Well, maybe it's a question to both of you.
I think absolutely. I think one key starting point is there that there needs to be knowledge and communication. Yeah. So if we don't know that such a tool exists, like Hanken Business Lab, then we're not going to be able to recommend that tool. But if we have that tool via communication and dialogue in the toolbox, then that's going to come up more and more. Because we have a wide range of daily conversations with Swedish companies of all shapes and sizes and industries and stages of development. That means that for some we might need to recommend a certain service, a function. It might be somebody that's good at legal questions or accounting questions, which is more of a support function. But then there's somebody who is more into maybe recruitment, or somebody that's more into establishment or promotion or exposure or social media, or a lot of different talents that we shouldn't really focus on ourselves. It's not a core competence. We want to be the one that can build that roadmap from where they are to where they want to be. We can split that into different sectors, and we can decide which party is best suited to help them at any given phase. So maybe we are good at certain one of them, but then there may be others that others would do better.
Yeah.
And we need to be that, as the Swedes say, the spider in the middle of the net. We need the ones that know all of the factors, have all the tools available to us, so we can put that plan in place, introduce people to each other, and that way see that we reach the ultimate goal, which for most of the companies is that they grow.
Very interesting, and in order to complement that, once you're building out a roadmap and building a roadmap and helping out on these stages, Business Lab ourselves, we are more providing the infrastructure. We're sort of, from the seller up, and so we provide spaces. We have connections inside of Hanken, so that we have long-term spaces inside of a rather interesting sweet spot in Finland. To have, the different buildings in there at Hanken, where do you have this kind of Swedish oasis, where you have people running around, non-Finnish Swedish, multiple languages. So in that sense, maybe we find a good collaboration.
And actually,
as an incubator
to emphasize also that that is a value in itself, the actual people who are there, because a lot of companies now who come to us, they're not just looking at the actual function of a facility or a certain support service. They are looking at being in an environment with like-minded people. Because maybe they want to recruit somebody, maybe they want to collaborate with somebody, but they want to be in that environment so that things happen. Because if they are with other energetic people who do good things, then that will also sort of push them on to be the best they can be.
It's really
interesting. That's fantastic. But now I'm going to have to cut this short a little bit. Can I ask that this conversation is taken off air, because we don't want to make too many promises on the
collaborative contractual
So we would like to introduce our next guest, who is Nina Ingves, who runs Hanken Business Lab in Vaasa, because we're also in Vaasa. And we'd like to thank you so much for coming. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, and have a good continued Slush here.
Enjoy Slush,
and we'll meet again soon.
Very soon, I hope.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you.
And if we can get Nina Ingves. Nina Ingves will have to wait a little bit, and meanwhile we'll get a breath of fresh air from the two of our very successful students from HankInvest, and they are here now. It's Rickard Zilliacus.
Great to be here.
Tack Markus.
Tjena.
And Viktor Bondestam, and they are a number of things. They are students at Hanken. They are representatives. They are the chairman and the vice chairman for HankInvest, which is the investment society. This is another example of kind of a non-profit organization, student-run organization that is a member of the Hanken Business Lab as well.
Yeah.
And you're also starting a new venture.
That's true.
Has it been named yet?
Yeah, the name is Scale Growth, and it's going to do a new type of recruitment.
Skill growth.
Yeah, scale growth.
Scale growth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So a lot
scale.
of exactly. So more growth. We see that like we believe every person is like a huge factor in making companies successful, and we want to make hiring and recruitment a lot more effective for everybody.
Especially we see this, it's very important for scale-ups, so companies that are growing very quickly and are smaller. For them, every recruitment is crucial for their future success. And we want to optimize that. We want to distance ourselves from the typical, recruitment model. We just put out an advertisement and hope that the right person finds it. We want to kind of match that problem there, kind of find the right person for the right firm.
How do you find the right person? What is your sort of?
I think our a unique approach is first you're going to have a really unique local presence everywhere, so every school. I'm not going to go into the details, but it's going to enable us to optimize the candidates, the high capabilities companies are looking for, so that we can really screen people not based on if they would find the job themselves, but we will bring the job to them and be the sort of partner for all the companies, bring their EVPA to the students, and then really be able to optimize all the optimal candidates for the right job.
We're trying to call this kind of personalized recruitment.
Right, that's what it seemed like. Yes, that's
yeah, it's a lot more personalized, but it's also a lot more quicker and effective than the normal recruitment model.
Right. If I think about recruitment, I think it's kind of two camps. Sort of recruitment specialists or company or consultancies providing recruitment services. I think on the one hand of companies such as Manpower doing staffing, and on the other hand, I think of really high-end headhunting type of organizations. I don't know exactly if those are the right terms for that type of services. Maybe you can help me.
No, it's about right. I mean, it's
sort of like a spectrum.
They're all the local players who play a bit more passive game, like maybe the guys who do staffing, who outsource the recruitment, take it in-house. But then you have the guys who do a bit more standardized. You have the CV banks, like a lot of companies do, and then they try to match from that. They have their job boards, but that's not our thing. We're gonna bring the headhunting game a lot lower and make it a lot more approachable for everyone. And make it also a lot more effective and cost-effective.
So you are kind of fast casual. So there was fast food, and then there is, and then at some point you'll get into Michelin star restaurants. But fast casual sits on the way.
Slow fast food, basically.
Slow. I don't know. Never mind. We're in tech world, and Volt is involved.
I'm not sure about the terminology, but maybe something like that.
Terminology and entrepreneurship doesn't really sit well with Isak and I, or at least not me.
No, we're trying our best, though. I mean,
we're trying to be the cool kids on the
No, you're doing a good job. Don't worry.
Okay.
But how much is of this is actually involving actually knowing the recruitee sort of as a human being, their personality?
Actually, for us, the model is not going to be based on us personally knowing people. Of course, it's easier for us to recruit, so to say, agents for us that can act as our ambassadors, so to say. But we're going to have a model that's not dependent on us knowing people. So we're really going to be able to approach and locate basically everyone who could be the right person for the job.
And to further answer that question, we definitely see that qualities that are sought. We don't want this to be purely experience based, but more like qualities as a person, what kind of work you want to do, what type of organization do you thrive in, and so forth. To find these qualities that you might not find on your CV, and to optimize that person's first job.
Do you see this as a weakness in the previous model of recruitment, this sort of very, very strict metric-based sort of recruiting, where you always just look at the CV, the numbers, and the pure on-paper experience?
I would say for the more brand names, you have the big consultancies or big corporates, they get so many applications. So for them, it doesn't really matter if they will get a good candidate pretty much either way, however they do it. Because if you get 100 applications per job, you're gonna be able to find 5 really good ones. But if you're not, say, BCG, and you're not Nordea and have the most sexiest job, you're not going to get those amounts. You might be a company that maybe not that many people have heard of. So you need helping bringing your story to people and getting those talents in through the door.
Because my perspective as someone who looks for jobs, who does job applications, and goes to CV checks or sort of these events where you learn how to do job applications. You learn these tricks of how to catch people's attentions, catch the employees' attention, which seems so counterintuitive. If I think I'm good for this job, why should I have to rely on these sort of manipulative tricks to get my story through, as you said?
Yeah, exactly. And that's really the problem for the companies. They get so many. I mean, everybody knows how to write a perfect application. And then if you you practice applying for the job, it doesn't mean that you're really good for the job.
You're good at writing the application.
You're just good at the process. So
Right.
maybe you might get a lot of offers, but then if you are really the right guy, and if the company is really the right company for you, that question remains like you will maybe know it 1 year later.
Yeah.
Well, we should back up a little bit here, I think, to say.
Very interesting. It was a very interesting idea.
Can I introduce them from a different angle and from the recruitment angle? Because these two gentlemen are remarkably talented at writing applications, and I happen to know that because their CVs read beautifully from the kind of from a career perspective. I mean, we have names on this kind of joint CV here from McKinsey. Is it Goldman Sachs? Morgan Stanley, well, second best, I suppose.
Best nowadays.
Okay, Morgan
After
Stanley.
he was there.
What else?
I've done also Walker Partners, so a private equity firm here.
Private equity.
And I've done some finance traineeships. Also worked at Hanken.
Yeah.
And some other stuff.
So you got
Wolf of Wall Street almost.
Yeah. So you guys, you've had your fair share of writing cover letters, filling in application forms,
no
preparing for interviews, maybe even going to assessment centers.
Absolutely.
Doing kind of mock pitches, etc.
Yeah. All this.
So did this kind of background somehow get you into a mode of thinking that this is a backward way of doing it?
Definitely. We're three guys that started this, and we've all pretty much had the same career path: management consulting, private equity, and investment banking. And that recruitment process is at times seen as like the best practice.
Yeah.
You get a really personal touch of the firm, and we want to kind of bring that recruitment process, not actually bring that recruitment process, bring that mindset that when you go to that firm, that you know that you want to work there. And we want to bring that into smaller companies. We kind of bring that personalized feeling that you really know that this job is going to be for me, that I'm actually a good fit for this job.
Yeah. Actually, we all seen that, if you're comparing banks to consultancies, the consultancies are a lot better at making candidates feel at home, that it feels a bit more familiar. They take you in a different approach than the banks. You might be a bit more like strict, a bit more aggressive, a bit more, how to say, like they, a bit quicker, like, okay, you're not good enough. Like, sorry, man.
To give an example of maybe how they've done this personalized recruitment, when I applied to Bain, they took me out for lunch after my first round of interviews, just to discuss my thoughts, how they see Bain, how I should prepare for the second round of interviews. I mean, they just made it so much more personalized that actually I want to work for Bain. I got such a good feeling of it. We want to kind of bring that into these different recruitments.
Pick some best practices from different areas and combine that, and then bring our own view and how you can do it even better, and make that concept a new platform for recruitment for other types of companies. It's not like copying any process, but more like picking the best bits of different process and then bringing some additional new thoughts and ideas in.
Yeah, well, all the best artists took influence from some previous artists. So I think
exactly.
you're doing a great thing. Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. One final thought could be, you keep hearing people saying, almost to the point where you're getting a little bit tired of hearing that sort of admonitions when someone says, what's your passion? What's your goal in life? That sort of thought, but it's revealing because it suggests that that's the ought we should be thinking along in terms of what do you want to do, rather than what's a good career choice for you. And what's your take on that? Is that reflected in the recruitment game?
I think that shows pretty much how we think.
Yeah.
It's not only what would be the best thing, what would be on CV maybe, like what would look best on paper, more like what would you want to do. And we believe if you do what you really want to do, you're going to be really good at it, you're going to thrive, you're going to want to develop. It's not going to feel like work, because work is such a big part of your life. You have to do something you really enjoy.
Yeah.
That's kind of like my passion here. I really want you to enjoy what you do.
Yeah. And especially for younger students or younger professionals who are now entering the workspace, I think they need to be a bit more open in what type of jobs they're looking for.
Yeah.
And really challenge themselves to find a company where they can actually grow as an individual and as a professional. And don't only find a company where you can, maybe work 9 to 5 and do a standardized list of to-dos per week, but be a bit more aggressive in the way you think about your job.
So which companies should come to you? So for our listeners out there, which companies are?
I would say all ambitious firms that really see the value in having good people on their payroll, having good people in their teams.
They're big corporations, or are they startups? Are they?
we actually think the people that might need us the most are the guys who are like growing really quickly and are not maybe the biggest companies, but are in the like SME sector, growing quickly, need good people to like tackle the challenges, be a bit more proactive, be able to take on responsibility early on, do stuff that's not been done before, and not have a set of list that needs to be done every day. Yeah. So companies that really need to grow and need good people to help them.
Yeah, and a good example of this is our Spearhead case from Sweden, who has been growing. I mean, over 3 years, they've gone from 0 to 50 million in revenues about. And now they're coming to Finland. They want to start.
Size of people?
50 million in revenues.
Yeah, but how many people?
130.
About, yeah.
Okay.
And now they're starting a Finnish team. They contacted us. They want to build a Finnish team of 5 young professionals. Yeah. And this is like a perfect example of how important for them, this Finnish team, these 5 people are going to be hugely
Which sector
important.
are they in?
They're in the finance.
I'd say.
Finance.
That's
okay, so
finance.
Are you specialized more in some
finance.
sectors, or?
No, we don't specialize in sectors. We specialize in needs.
Okay.
So we feel it doesn't make sense to go after one sector. It makes sense, like even if you're from an IT company or industrial company or a media company or a professional service company, you're going to need some type of people to do certain types of roles.
Okay.
So you might have the same need if you need a guy who can speak Finnish and Swedish, can be a bit more proactive, can sell, can talk to people, can talk to clients in a nice way. Well, this might be true for all different sectors. So we're going to go after specific needs, build our network based on a need, and then we can funnel that need to a different need and build a different tunnel. And that way we can scale this to like all different needs.
Isak and I, we've been educated today in terms such as, what was it,
economic entrepreneurial ecosystem.
Yeah, community-based entrepreneurial ecosystem.
For one, yes, that's
and the word network has of course been thrown about like there's no tomorrow.
Passion, as you said.
For sure.
Passion, but also no. But I'm building up towards the leading question here.
Am I straying you from it?
Yes, with passion you were. So please be quiet.
Yes, I will. Yes.
And the kind of idea of the network and the alumni. We've heard that Hanken's alumni network is perhaps the most solid there is. I can't actually come up with a school that has a better alumni that is actually working. I mean, it works, that network. It's solid.
So
it's anchored in the Helsinki and the Finnish economy. And it really worked. People come back and they're proud and so on. So my question to you is, on this basis, I mean, what benefits have you had from drawing on your own network somehow? Maybe Hanken's network and other networks.
Well, of course, we see that our network, especially as let's say Swedish-speaking Finns, and as young students, and via HankInvest also, we've got a really broad network to start off with, but we don't feel that network is enough. Yeah. We want to expand because we know that we only know a fraction of the network that is potential. Yeah. So we're trying to expand and get as many new contacts as possible. But yes, of course, the Hanken alumni network and already our HankInvest network that we've built is very valuable. Yeah.
I would say for everything that we've done, like during a year at Hanken, even before, we like learned to know so many people from different areas, all different from the VC, startup scheme, people who've grown businesses, and also have been more in this like traditional career path. And really, all those discussions we have with friends and people we know from these places have been, I think, really defining in my way of thinking now today, and do play a big role in the way we see this going forward. Yeah.
It's probably hard to get like a percentage number because it's not quantifiable that way. But how big a part of building this company from the beginning has your network been? How big of an importance has it played?
I would actually say in the company build-up, it hasn't actually been very little, I would say. Just a few percent, just because to build a company and know people, of course you can ask for advice, right. You can ask for ideas, you can like try to get a bit more springboards, like hey, challenge me, why won't this work? Like give me reasons why this won't work. That type of it's really important. But then again, like when you build something, you gotta do it yourself. You gotta be hands-on. You can't draw on like too many like services and like favors. You just gotta get it done yourself. And I think we have a really strong core team to do that. And of course, the network is going to come in handy all the time, in some way.
Okay, well, let's put this to work now because we've prepared a little business case for you. So we've got
this is really surprising.
One of on the spot here.
Yeah. one of our companies is here, and we're going to speak to the CEO. His name is Tero Lappalainen, and he's from Bankify.
Yeah,
so could we bring him in here and see if you can meet his recruitment needs?
Yeah, definitely.
Tero.
Let's welcome Tero Lappalainen from
So, welcome Tero. Can we?
Thank you.
This is the most people we've had around this micro table. I don't know if our viewers can see how small it is. So these guys, as you have you met before? They are from. They have just formed. These are Hanken students, and they are from HankInvest, and they are also, as you might know, a member of a Hanken Business Lab. Not only the HankInvest capacity, but also starting a new recruitment service, and it's called Scale Growth. Yeah. And Bankify has you've just come. I know that you've just come back pitching.
Yes,
and I heard that it went very well.
It went very well. Second place, but still we are really happy that we were part of that program and what we achieved. So it's
that's really good. Impressive.
So tell us a little bit about Bankify.
So Bankify. So what we want to do is make finance fun. That's in a few words. And I would say that. You might be thinking that how can it be fun, and you might have this kind of dark memory of big financial hassle that you have had, no matter if it's some bachelor party, some group travel, or this kind of even like living with a roommate or spouse, I don't know, and then with the sports clubs, and that's actually one of those things that interest me most, and if you can think like one person handling all the like shitty tasks basically in a team, and then eventually you can end up with losing the friends and the money like I did. So that's what we want to solve basically, and make the finance fun, more social and simple and fun.
So it's kind of pooling of expenses in anticipation.
Yes, that's like one use case where we are at the moment. How the application works, we're actually live with two platforms, iOS and Android.
Great.
And
so you can download it now in the App
Store. You can download the app, and it's in actually now in 6 different countries. We're all the time opening new ones, and we're actually hitting pretty good growth numbers already there. And it's pooling of expenses. How a group can pool those expenses and be all the time clear who owes to who.
Yeah, and we'd like to talk to you about all sorts of stuff, right? But what do you think that your recruitment needs will be in the next, say?
We have an immediate. We want of course the hackers, the coders. But what we actually want is a good persons. That's
talk to them. Tell them. Don't tell us.
Yeah. But that's something. It's definitely we are looking like persons who can like. Really like learn and take ownership and go to the like build us and our services to the next level, and it's about the learning and that's basically it.
Do you think you can help, Tero?
Obviously, we're not gonna make false promises, but we would. I mean, maybe the coders are something out of our reach for now.
Yeah.
But then these guys who you say want to take ownership, be a quick learner, be able to take a more practice stance, maybe be a springboard to you as well. I mean, definitely there's something we could help with in the future.
Yeah, and definitely if you're internationalizing, you're going to new countries and stuff. If you ever going to a new country, I mean, Hanken especially is a school that is very international, where we have this, people want to have that international exposure. So that is also something that we could provide.
And my mic took like this kind of really obvious. It's a technical solution that we are like services we are building our users, but of course what we are actually like doing, what we started at Hanken is we build communities. We want you to be part of this kind of how we can serve better you and basically take into our product development, and it's actually the coding part for us is the last part. Yeah. What needs to be done? There needs to be new ideas, creative ideas. This needs to be captured in some kind of different kind of mock-ups where you like justing like touching screens or whatever to like really test it out with the users with the big marketing test or just one-to-ones, and then you actually build the kind of prototypes. And no coding has been done yet. That's the final part when we say that because we are a startup, limited resources. If I say we have a coders, that's the last point when we say that now we need, of course, we want coders to be also this kind of innovative, but it needs to be somehow the ideas needs to be come from the user and be innovated, and then come to the table where we actually do the magic.
It's like demand needs to be defined before you actually build a supply for that demand.
Yeah, and what we want to be the platform for the user, so that needs a lot of this kind of user interaction, and you are actually the persons we want to implement the product. So we want you to take this to the global markets and be part of it and turn it around and maybe pivoting in some point if we need that.
Okay, well, there you go. That's one opportunity. So maybe you'll talk later. Hey guys, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And we'd like Tero to stay here.
Great to be here.
Hey, thank you. Thank you. Hey, brilliant guys. Thank you.
Hey Tero, tell us a little bit about your pitching.
It was amazing. I must say that the best pitch what we have done so far.
Yeah.
You can see it on a live at the web. So
it was because there are two types of pitches here. This was the semi-finals.
This was finals.
Finals now.
Yeah. So
for
Accenture Incubator program. So
right. You are part of, if you want to speak a little bit closer to the microphone, you're part both of Hanken Business Lab Incubator and you're also part of Accenture's Incubator. So you're having it both ways.
Yeah.
You're kind of you're under the auspices of
and
two
this
houses.
was just I would say 3 months accelerator program where we...
So they are the accelerator and Hanken Business Lab is the incubator.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah. Right. How does that work?
It's
Isak might ask.
Yeah. It's actually like combining really good together this kind of this three-month period has helped us with building new use cases and take new partners into the development. For example, Nordea, it gave possibility to be closer with Nordea, with the banks, because we don't want to be the bank, but we need the partners. We want to build an ecosystem. And that's also the angle, I would say, that what in the longer term with this kind of incubator program like Hanken Business Lab can provide. There are places, of course, concrete places where we can meet, and there are different kind of networks that we can use. This was specified to specific partners, and of course now in the final pitch it wasn't about the Nordea. They are excited to build it further, but this was also that they were from different fields. Actually, who won it was from Wärtsilä, so it's totally different industry and totally different products. It's that we are, but that was basically we were the winners in the fintech side.
Excellent.
Speaking of the pitching itself, sort of, I mean, you finished second place, which is excellent. So let's say you have some. It's fair to say that you have some expertise in the matter. You know what you're doing as you're pitching. When I was filming the pitches, the early stage startup pitches, I think for a research thing that Hanken is doing, collaborative thing, that's not important. But the important thing is I was watching the pitches without any expertise on the matter, and it seemed to me that they were very, very similar in the way, the formula. So you can see that everyone who was pitching had been through some sort of pitching school, some sort of course maybe, and everyone knew.
Almost like standardized.
Yeah, very standardized mode of pitching. What are some of the things that make a good pitch? First of all, I think that's a classic question. But also, do you think pitching has somehow sort of become standardized and nothing really stands out because everyone is following the same formula?
I think when you say I'm an expert, I'm a learner. Maybe I can't say ever that I'm an expert. I must say that we basically made the last turn to our pitch when Fred was helping with us. Our mentor was helping with us.
So you were the expert.
Yeah.
I was the idiot that didn't get anything.
Yeah, but you were honest. That's the culture. What we want to be. We were honest. I didn't get it. We were not. And then what we did is actually of course we didn't take a U-turn, but we made it more this kind of journey that you can understand. In the beginning you have a clear idea what they are doing, like this kind of use cases, your bachelor parties, group travel, what are those things? Okay, that's my thing, what I'm gonna follow.
If you say we need to pool expenses for a bachelor party, that's an example.
So you follow that lead, and then we go to the more like, okay, you tell where you're heading, you tell what you have already accomplished, to really like bring that team. Investors are looking at the team, but of course like what you have accomplished, and then what you are building on, and of course where's the business case in the end, and when they are like different kind of partners, normally a little bit older people in a jury, they can be of course youngsters, but there's really this kind of that I can grasp it, and it's a complete journey where I end up with, okay, I buy that.
Right. So
we would like to.
It's not about the formula itself. It's more about the clarity of the content within the formula. Sort of.
Yeah.
Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah. And it's they need to understand it. And if you have 3 to 5 minutes, so you basically need to keep it really simple. Even though you have millions of ideas, you need to keep it focused and attach in the beginning, and then take the journey with it, and in the close it like really.
And on that closing note, we'll say thank you to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes.
As our penultimate guest.
Yes.
Tero, good luck with Bankify.
Really happy that I can be here. Yeah.
See you a little bit later. Enjoy the rest of your slides.
Thank you.
You said penultimate, so we have
our
one more
penultimate guest. Now we'd like to bring in another Hanken Business Lab member, along with also Markus Wartiovaara, our kind of accelerator expert, because we're the kind of anti-experts, or whatever the
layman of this show.
And anyway, Hanken,
journalists.
as people might know, has 2 campuses.
Yeah.
There is the Helsinki campus, Hanken in Helsinki, and there is also one in the
Vaasa.
In the western town of Vaasa, the coastal city of Vaasa.
Yes.
In Finnish it's 2 A's, in Swedish it's 1, is that right?
Yes.
And her name is Nina Ingves, and here she is. And Markus, if you'd like to join us again.
Thank you.
Welcome, Nina.
Thank you.
So we've had this kind of marathon today of incubators and accelerators, and Markus, welcome back. And we were trying to get a sense of what different shapes and forms and characteristics that we have of these kind of strange creatures that host startups.
Is it fair to say that you're sort of the Markus Wartiovaara of the Vaasa Hanken Business Lab?
Kinda,
Yes.
maybe. Yeah.
Longer hair.
Longer hair, yeah.
Slightly more feminine.
A little bit.
I try to keep my feminine side as well.
You're trying to keep up?
He's standing on high heels.
Yes.
Just joking.
Yes.
So Hanken Business Lab was formed about a year and
No, a little bit longer actually. Really, the very first we started off in a small meeting room in a side building of Hanken. And we had a table that went up and down, and we had some video cameras, and we started off doing interesting projects.
Yeah.
And that was labeled Business Lab. But for seriously, we started off in a bigger scale, starting a year ago in the summer, when Rickard called and said, hey, we have this unused space in the Hanken main building, and we transformed that into Torget, which is today working there. And a little bit later, we continued with Stugan, which...
Okay, we have to translate that, I think. The cottage.
The cottage. Yes.
And the marketplace.
And the marketplace. And Stugan is on where you're located on the yard of Vaasa campus.
Okay, I have to admit, I've never been there. So can you tell us what it looks like?
The Hanken building in Vaasa, it used to be a cotton factory.
A cotton factory?
Yeah.
Really?
So, for example, pieces of the now very famous maternity box was made in that cotton factory.
The maternity what?
Oh, right,
box,
the Kela.
you know, the baby box, the cardboard box.
Right.
British media is in love with this. You must have read
Yeah.
that.
Okay, the maternity box.
Yeah,
Sorry.
so
I know.
It will
When you
come
become
someday.
mom, then
yeah,
you'll know.
at some point you will get familiar with this. But it's kind of
Both of you
one of
maybe,
the
right.
best export things from Finland at the moment. So, and that in the yard there's this small house, the cottage, that was used for the janitor and service.
Sorry, so the Hanken Vaasa main building is nearby.
Yeah, it's in the same yard.
So that's in the old factory.
Yeah.
It's a factory building, and it's significant, isn't it? It's kind of red clay brick or
No, not today.
Okay.
It's yellow and
different shades of yellow.
Okay,
actually.
no, right.
Yeah.
But I heard that there was something characteristic about it.
Yeah. It's kind of an old building, really nice. Yeah.
Are you from there? Are you from Vaasa?
Not from Vaasa, but from Österbotten.
From Österbotten?
Yeah.
What's it in English, Österbotten?
Österbotten.
Österbotten,
Yeah.
Eastern Bothnia.
Yeah. It's the eastern part of the sea. Because when Finland was part of Sweden. Yes. Then that was east.
Don't be so smug about that.
And then we have Västerbotten on the Swedish side. So even though Österbotten is in the west.
Makes sense. Why change these?
Yeah, absolutely.
These words. But so.
So we have the cottage, and it's not just because this building is a cottage, but also kind of a symbol of the Österbottnians always going to their summer houses, to the cottages.
Do you do that more than other people in Finland?
I guess so.
Okay.
All of Österbotten is just filled with summer cottages.
So Stugan is like summer cottage reference.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm guessing that the people who go to their summer cottages normally don't do the same things as they do in the Hanken-stuga. What happens in the Hanken-stuga?
Maybe. I mean, usually it's in your spare time when you have a lot of mental capacity that you get the best ideas and you can develop your business ideas. So, in a way...
The best article ideas you write while you're brushing your teeth or shaving.
Yeah, right. Or doing the other thing you do.
Not when you're sitting at your desk.
Right.
I don't know.
That's right. No, but that's true.
Yeah. So Stugan is the physical place for the business lab.
Yeah. Okay. So, and it's sort of, how does it look like inside? Because Hanken Business Lab, colorful walls, we have sofas, these hang-around places, meeting rooms and stuff. Like, it's a cozy place for people to come there and hang out. It's my favorite place to hang out and study at Hanken. So what does the student look like?
Cottage also refers to the size of the place. So it's kind of small.
How small?
2 rooms. Yeah, two rooms.
Yeah.
Kind of the meeting rooms at Torget.
Yeah.
That size, 2 of those. But it's a really nice place. They did a good job in really taking every square into use.
Okay, good. And I know that you have a background in both entrepreneurship and business consultancy from that region, or is that right?
Yeah.
What sort of things have you done previously to directing the business lab in Vaasa?
Yeah. I used to work as a business advisor for companies starting and developing their business.
In that region?
In the southern part of Österbotten.
Is there a distinct culture in Österbotten in terms of, I know that there is a distinct culture generally, but is there also a business culture that is slightly different?
Absolutely. When it comes to
can you help
entrepreneurship,
us understand it?
We've had some discussions also yesterday regarding the entrepreneurial spirit and it's kind of strange to me as an Österbottnian that entrepreneurs were not that appreciated in southern Finland or in the Helsinki region just a few years back. It wasn't a profession that people really appreciated. So it didn't have a status.
Yeah.
But in Österbotten it's kind of the other way around because many people were involved in agriculture and so you have to kind of make up the products and businesses as you go. Many industries today come from entrepreneurs just having to figure out some kind of problems. Yeah. For example, greenhouses, boat sector, energy, boat engines, things like that.
Can we get a sense of the kind of development of Vaasa from both your perspectives, like a business lab in Vaasa over the year, or the past year and a half?
How have you cooperated during this? So there's been a theme of cooperation and competition between.
Or maybe just getting a sense of which type of companies have emerged.
Oh, which kind of companies? Sure. Yeah.
Well, we started in Vaasa this year.
Yeah.
In late January, we had our grand opening.
Okay, so a little bit later.
Yeah, and it's developing, and now more and more companies are getting interested. And I just actually had a meeting with one.
Are they all kinds of different companies, or do they actually look like the Ostrobothnia Classic? I mean, I don't know if the entrepreneurial scene there is more related to the agricultural culture, I guess, of Ostrobothnia. What do the companies look like? Are they? Could you tell that they are from the Vaasa studio?
Not really, no. And what's a bit fascinating that most of the companies are somewhat related to selling, and that's not something that we really much teach at Hanken. So, but the
actually,
companies emerging
it is the topic that is never taught in business schools across the globe. Sales, and it's perhaps the most important aspect of most business.
And that's kind of interesting that most of the companies are involved in some kind of selling.
So you have a natural sales kind of fodder to your bow.
And I would say that that's really interesting about Ostrobothnia, since there is an entrepreneurial spirit that has been for centuries, for a long period of time. There's also this culture of selling. So you've been able to attract companies that are directly oriented on selling. Actually, companies that don't have their own product, but they're on a commission base selling to others. Actually, door-to-door sales. They do traditional door-to-door sales, and they're growing really nicely, the companies. And on your question on cooperation, you know, what's made me really happy is that we've been able to attract companies there that now have also migrated to work here at Torget, so they use both places. And for us, as we are one school, we are one lab, so we help to do different stuff together. And then we have joint events like here, Slush, or season starters, or dinners together. So we try to build a bridge between the different places of Hanken.
That's just beneficial for Hanken, of course, but also for the companies involved in the business lab to get kind of a broader market network.
Great. Hey, thank you guys for coming and teaching us about incubators. We've learned something. Thank you.
Yes. Great.
Now we know, I guess.
Good work, guys.
Thank you.
Really good job.
Cheers, man. Cheers. All right, so let's wrap up this morning.
I think it's fair to say that we've learned a lot.
Actually, we have learned a lot. I mean, you guys might have thought that we were joking, but I was slightly clueless, and I even work in that lab.
Yes, I mean that's your job. But I mean,
I was joking.
But I mean, what we learned today is that probably one of the reasons why we don't know what incubators are is the hard. It's so hard to define what an incubator is. There's so many different kinds.
Certainly. I mean, one of the things that we have learned, I think, is that there is differences in scope. You can have an office room that is there are 2 office rooms, or it can be up to 2,000 or even what was it?
400 square meters
10,000 square meter space. Then you have something. What else is there in terms of incubators? Well, so we have different forms. They're differently engaged. Some don't even have space, like Sting.
Right.
They're the Y Combinator inspired model.
But they play this sort of mentor role to growing startups and companies, basically. That's a great idea. But there's one question that I think we have we're still going to have the opportunity to ask this, and it's not really. It's this sort of might be a very sort of ethereal diagnosis of this whole thing. It might be looking way deeper into it than my expertise allows. But how does this affect the mentality or I guess, straightly put, the work ethic of companies? What is the transition between being in an incubator, developing yourself in an incubator, and then going out to the real world, as it were? And
what does that real world look like afterwards?
Right. Do you get pampered in incubators?
I think a philosophical question is to ask then, well, if all business in the future will be done in incubators, what is the real world going to look like?
The world will become an incubator.
The world is going to be an incubator.
Wow.
It sounds very metaphysical at some point, almost theologically metaphysical.
Almost. I mean, are we going full circle? I mean, is this going to become the new theology of...
When I was slightly younger, there was a song called "God is a DJ" by Faithless.
I will have to listen to that.
You might have heard that song.
Yes.
God is a DJ. Could we say that God is an entrepreneur?
Maybe. God is an incubator. Yeah. God is incubating.
God is an entrepreneur, and in the kingdom of heaven, or in the kingdom of the incubator. I don't know. Let's go.
Let's go.
Right. So thanks very much. See you in the afternoon.